Hi, Rod. Welcome to Better with Age again.
Hi, Steph. Thank you for inviting me back a second time. But most people don't invite me anywhere a second time. In fact, when it comes to sitting next to me at meals and things like that, my wife Carol, she recommends to people that they don't do it. So here I am again. I'm very grateful. Nice to be here.
Good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Last time we spoke, I was talking about maybe being a little bit behind the where I'd like to be with my rowing and various sporting interests. But in the last few weeks, things have really picked up. I mean, let's just talk about my C2 rowing, but without making too long a story about it. What I've done is when I was in my early 60s, I started, in fact, when I just turned 60, I started working with a coach, a guy called Eddie Fletcher, one of the top coaches in the rowing business. He coached right up to international level at various sports. I mean, I could do a whole interview just talking about him. But I've looked back on some of the schedules that he was giving me, some of the training plans that he was giving me. And those were back in the days when I was purely and simply an indoor rower. All I was right on the edge of whatever I could manage to do, just working as hard as I could, trying to get medals, records, and PBs and all sorts of things. And by and large, it all pretty much worked well for 3, 4 years as it turned out. And it all down to Eddie's schedules, plans, and the hard work that went into it. So I've looked back on some of them, and I've started to just build some of those into my current schedule. I came to the startling conclusion that I hadn't been doing anything like the volume that I used to do, and I hadn't been doing anywhere near the quality. Now, that sounds all a bit basic and simple, doesn't it? But I think I'd probably lost a little bit of sight of because I'm not being quite so dedicated to just the rowing at the moment, that I'd lost sight of actually what you can do with some of the sessions. So I've started repeating them, and they're starting to improve me. So I'm actually going to bed at night looking forward to the rowing session the following morning because it's a chance to improve and progress. So as far as the rowing's going, everything's really on the up. And I've got a few ideas of things that I might be able to achieve. So watch this space. I'll do what I can. Having said that, I am still now very, very heavily involved in age group football. When I was a schoolboy, I was a rugby player and a goalkeeper in football. And in my adult life, I went on to just play rugby. So I hadn't played goalkeeper since I was 16. At the age of 66, I picked it up again at over 60s, what's called walking football. And I've ended up playing for 3 different teams. And I've playing in far higher grade competitions than when I started. I've moved up the levels, and it's just I've started to work with a coach. Where have we heard that one before with me? And he's really started to improve my skills, and I'm absolutely loving it. So a lot of my time is spent with football. I've also got involved with a lot of administrative work with football. Again, where have we heard that one with me? I'm doing things like organising fixtures, tournaments, social events, and all the various things that go with a real life sport, because we're actually there with people. It's not online. And I'm still running. My running is coming along, doing 2 runs a week. I'm fitting those in as well. So looking forward to some 10K races, not as fast or as hard as I used to do them, but if I can just take part in a 10K race, as opposed to, I wouldn't just take part in an erg competition. I'd probably want to be going a lot harder than that. But I'll do my best. I'll run as hard as I can. Just to be involved with going out running in races is something that I didn't think I'd be able to do because I had an ankle injury. But funny little story is that when you play goalkeeper, when you either save the ball and push it away, or when the ball misses the goal, you're the poor fella that has to, or poor person that has to go and get the ball. And I found that when I was going to get the ball, I was running to get it and running back to the goal to take the kick. And I suddenly thought, why does my ankle hurt? So when I got home one night, I tried a little jog, and that's now led on to being able to run up to 10 miles. So rowing is great, football is great, and the running is coming along. So sorry to give you such a long answer, but that's where I am. I'm absolutely full of beans with it. And of course, wonderful things are happening in the Diamonds, and my admin load has increased a lot. We've got a lot of new members. But I don't mind. In fact, I welcome the admin load increasing because I enjoy all that I do with it. So welcome to all the new members. More time I spend on the Diamonds is more time I'm having fun. So, yeah, it's it's all positive with me.
Oh, that's great, Rod. I'm sure you must have run round me on a rugby pitch in Sussex sometime a couple of decades ago, but I can't quite remember it. I'm sure you'll remind me at some point.
Various for those that don't know, Stefan, it's probably worth pointing out that you and I played for different clubs within the Sussex County in England, and given that we're similar ages, we must have come across each other on the field. Now, there are various instances I can remember of being completely clattered by brutal forwards on a rugby pitch and failing miserably to be able to run round them. So I'm pretty sure that at some point you must have absolutely flown into me and knocked me back and put me into the dirt. Whether I ever ran round you or whether you came smashing into me, I don't think either of us will ever know. But we're both here
Yeah,
to
prob-
laugh about it.
probably best not to probe that further.
We probably had a beer afterwards. That's the thing to think
I'm
about.
sure we did. Rod, you mentioned when you going back over your old coaching notes that you looked at the quantity and the quality. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the way that Eddie used to structure things was it was two of the most important factors in there. Would he would specify a stroke rate or series of stroke rates to use in a session. For example, if I were to row a session of 6 5-minute intervals, if people call them intervals with 2 minutes rest between each one, instead of just doing them all as fast as you can with the who cares what the stroke rate is, and the stroke rate goes up to mid 30s in my case because I'm not very tall or something like that, even high 30s, then that can risk burnout. Eddie would specify that you do it at a certain stroke rate, which would mean that you do it end up at a slower pace, but it's training. It's not racing. He would always say, don't race your training. So I would do that session that I just mentioned 6 times 5 minutes with 2 minute rests, but he would specify a maximum of, say, 28 SPM. And then the following week, it would go up to 30 SPM. So that when I came to do something like a 30-minute time trial, where I was trying to set a record or a PB or something like that, or SB, then because I'd stuck to 28, then I was unleashed and could go at a higher stroke rate when needed. But it meant that I had more power. I did a session the other day, and before I sat down to do it, I just thought, wow, I feel really confident about this. I suddenly thought, yeah, I can't wait. I really want to go, which is a feeling I hadn't had for quite a long time. And it was because I've been doing lower stroke rate work, some at 20 SPM, some at 22, 24, 26, 28. And whereas, of course, my natural go-to for going as fast is 30 or over. Well, that prepared me for being 30 or over. Sometimes I would train at 30. So that was a big one. The other thing was I've always recommended to people, and I talk a lot about doing a lot of your training at below 70% of your maximum heart rate. And that's still true. But Eddie used to give that. He'd also give some where I'm going as fast as I can. But he'd also give quite a bit that's in the middle, around about 80%. And I'm now doing some of my sessions around 80% of my maximum heart rate. And that's starting to make me fitter, really. It's having a great effect. So instead of just doing a lot of 80% of easier stuff, then I'm doing some in the middle and some faster. And that's working very well. And the other thing is that instead of rowing for under 70% for about half an hour, I'm now doing it for an hour. I'm now actually doing twice the volume of the under 70% sessions. But I don't just sit there for an hour. I say just sit there. It's never just sitting there, is it? It's sitting there working hard, because even an hour at 70% is quite an effort. To keep the heart rate low, I'm breaking it into 4 15-minute sections or intervals, if you people like to call them that. I call them reps, but not many people do. That's my old track and field language. Four repetitions of 15 minutes with 90 seconds rest in between, hours worth. I mean, that we're talking about 13 odd thousand meters, whereas before I was probably doing maybe a little bit under 7. So the sub 70% work has doubled. And that's making me feel a lot better too. And it was quite noticeable that in my own, oh, I'll just see how it goes type of attitude, without really the proper specific planning, I'd let the volume slip, I'd let the quality slip. All sounds very obvious, but it wasn't until I really went back over the plans. And that's just increased my motivation so many. So many fold. Those are probably the technical bits of it. The actual putting together of the plans is something that it takes a scientist like him to do. So I'm not trying to compare myself. I'm not saying I can put together the same kind of level of schedule that he does, but just going back over some of the sessions and progressing. For example, a typical session would be 4 times 15 minutes, where for 10 minutes of the 15 minutes, you go at 18 SPM and below 70%. And then for the last 5 minutes, you go at 28 SPM, or for some of the sessions, 30 SPM, as fast as you can go. And then the following week, 9 minutes slow, 6 minutes fast. And
Okay.
then the week after that, it's 8 minutes slow, 7 minutes fast. So you build up each week. It's nice ways of progressing without just sitting there and doing 6 repetitions of 500 meters with 2 minutes rest between. And after 3 weeks, you've burnt yourself out.
It feels counterintuitive to be looking at stroke rate and not worrying about the split.
It's the split does have a target,
Okay.
and I am looking to improve the split week on week. But if you go outside the stroke rate specifications, then it kind of ruins it. It means that you're not actually comparing like with like, or building in the same kind of physical progress that you need to. So it's not until you've done, you're right to pick that up. It's not until you've done these sessions a few times over that you start to fall into the groove of concentrating on keeping the split within the stroke rate, because it can be hard to keep within the stroke rate when you're not used to it. And now I've fallen back into it. It's like I've never been away from it.
That's great news, and you're clearly in a better place than when we talked before, when you were getting it kind of a little bit jaded by the whole, I guess, kind of reaching a plateau and not quite sure where to go after.
Yeah, I was suffering from a sort of a disappointment that the aging process was slowing me down. Now, that's something that all diamonds can identify with. But because I hadn't trained properly up until I was 60, I had that much more potential to improve certain areas. Because it wasn't until I worked with a coach, it wasn't until I was 60 that I worked with a coach. So Eddie really took me forwards, and I managed to really progress. But of course, inevitably, going from 60 to 63, it was a golden period, but it was never by definition going to be able to last that long. And then I was starting to notice that my times were coming down. My heart rates were going up to achieve slower times. I was getting quite sort of like, oh, well, that's it. I've had the glory days. I had a brief reprise where, after stopping working with Eddie because we really got as far as we could go, and I wasn't really interested in doing championships anymore, because I just wasn't the rower that I was. I did have a brief reprise where just for a bit of fun, I tried a little bit of sprinting. Well, blow me down if I didn't start doing PBs with the sprints, because I've never done sprints in my early 60s. So I did a PB for the fastest split you can show. I did a PB for the 100 meters, the 1 minute, and the 500. So I wasn't going to do the British Championships last December, but because the 500 was going okay and it was an event, I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. So I got a sort of a bonus British title, but I only worked the once, really. So I don't think it's something that I'm really going to keep doing. So I don't have any plans to do the British Championships or the World Championships until maybe I'm 70, and then I'll be the baby of the bunch. But there's still plenty of fun to be had within the Diamonds. I'm still doing the CTC every month. I'll still be doing some of the ranking pieces. I expect, if I think I can do myself some justice, and that's something that we all think about, isn't it? We all want to do ourselves some justice. I mean, we don't all have to be thinking, well, I'm going to break a PB every time, but as long as we feel that we can actually make some progress in various departments. And I'm really full of the joys of what I'm doing at the moment, because it does look as if I can be making some progress really from where I was. It's not going to be compared to what I did when I was in my early 60s, but there are British records. When I set some British records in the 65-69 category, I only went for a few of them. I didn't actually go through the list, as it were, or make attempts at all the distances, all the events, like I did when I was in my 60s. So I recently looked at the British records, and people have filled the gaps with performances that I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe I could have a go at those. So, I may end up trying to get a record or two. You never know. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I'm pulling back a little bit from the championship level of it, because the football means that I can't concentrate just on the rowing. When I was in my early 60s, that was it. Row, row, row. That's all I did. Now, I'm absolutely loving the football. I'm loving the running, but I am still loving the rowing. It's just that you can't be at the absolute pinnacle unless you totally, totally focus on it. And I've done that. I'm having some fun. There you go.
Yeah, and Rod, the moral of the story is that if you're on the erg and you find yourself reaching a plateau, because we're all over 60, it's not because you're never going to be able to enjoy it and compete again. It's just something you've got to work around, and science will help.
Absolutely. Well, the science is the key because it's so you've really highlighted it. It's so easy to think, oh, that's it. I'm getting old. It's not much good anymore. Hold on a minute. Let's have a look at what can be done. What have you done? Well, hold on a minute. Have you tried this? Have you tried? It's about goal setting. It's about doing something that you feel is achievable. And I hadn't really, I'd taken so much for granted. Now that I've finally sat down and thought about it and thought, well, I do enjoy rowing. I wonder if I could use those scientific tools that Eddie gave me, but they seem to work well. Well, of course, I'd forgotten how well they worked or how good they felt. So if anybody is feeling like I was feeling last time I was talking to you, which is, well, I'm sort of on the way down now, so drop me a message, drop me a line. I'll tell you what I've been doing, and I'm absolutely certain enthusiasm levels will go shooting up. It's a whole new thing to try. Having said that, of course, it could be a situation where using much, much higher stroke rates is going to work for somebody. I mean, I'm a high stroke rating person, so the lower stroke rates stuff have been helping me. Someone that feels that they're a lower stroke rate person probably going to benefit from getting stuck into much, much higher stroke rate training because that way they'll be finding something within themselves that they didn't know they had. So
Yeah.
it's horses for courses. What's working for me isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else. The opposite could be true. But the thing that is true is what you've pointed out very well, is the science is there to help. Bill Nurge is a scientist coach within the diamonds that springs readily to mind. He has the science, or he has a lot of science. He has a lot of answers to the kind of questions that I'm putting up some ideas for. He is someone who springs to mind because of the kind of philosophies and things of the science that he puts out there. I'm just talking about one thing that's worked for me. I mean, I've taken a lot of advice and inspiration from Bill as well. I think this conversation, when we're talking about stroke rates and talking about motivations, I think his name is always going to come up because he's such a good one for it. And there are others. There are others in the diamonds that equally provide inspiration, scientific knowledge, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, yeah. I think Bouncing Bill's always got some good pointers, and
Absolutely.
always worth reading. Let's just move to talking about the Diamonds as a group, and how it's developing, or how do you think it will develop?
Well, it's this season. I mean, it's a strange thing, the Concept Two season, because it ends just before midnight, and then it starts again just after midnight. So it's be more accurate to call it a year. So we started on the 1st of May, and we recruited a lot of people on the C2 team to help us with the meter counting. I was absolutely rapt that we made a new record for meters in a year, nearly touching 3 billion. So this year I see more people, because we're not just a team now, we're a worldwide movement. I'm sure I must have used that expression before. So it's been great that Martin Walmsley is one of our IT experts that does a fantastic job with helping on the recruitment side, and a lot of the new members are now adding their meters. Sadly, every year we do find that people drift away, but I'm actually engaged at the moment in a process of contacting people that are showing us having registered no meters, asking how they are and can we help. So, and let them know they're not forgotten. So that does take time. So that all goes on. So I'm hoping that we can this year get over 3 billion meters on the Concept 2 side. I'm also hoping that we can have a greater uh, coming together of the Facebook part of the Diamonds and the Concept 2 part of the Diamonds, because roughly speaking, we've got about 3,000 odd people on the Concept 2 part of the team, and about 500, just under 500 people on the Facebook part of the team. Most of those 500 on Facebook are part of the 3,000 on the C2 team. So that leaves about 2,500 people, although there's around about 2,000 people on our chat forum, but that's not used anything like as much as our Facebook part. So I'm hoping to get the Facebook part and the chat forum a lot closer together. So I've got a few ideas on how that's going to happen, and that's already starting to filter into the weekly email that I send out to everybody that puts us as their team on the C2 on their C2 logbooks, which is most people. The other thing is this YouTube channel of yours. I think is a fantastic tool. I promote it wherever I can around the team. I
Thank you.
see lots more people picking up on the kind of advice that some of the great people you've been interviewing so far. And I'm also open to suggestions from all our members about anything that we can use to move things forward. We've expanded the management team a little bit, and we've got some very good people with input into how we run things. And of course, we have a new competition because Peter Coles, who he Peter Cole, his IT skills, his entrepreneurial skills in promoting the competitions. He's now our competitions manager, and he's created a new competition which is across all Concept 2 erg. So it's the row erg with slides, bike erg, and the ski erg. So there are plenty of competitions for people to focus on, but there's plenty of competitions for people to find motivation in. And Peter's input to the team is absolutely massive. He forward with using the IT skills to promote the competitions that we have within the team, because he works it out. He does all the coding and he leads it. He does all the reports, and hope to hear more from him if he's going to have an interview with you. If that were to happen, he would make a very good. Well, you and I, we talk about these things, and yeah. Also, I can't mention Peter Cole's IT skills and Martin Worms's IT skills without mentioning Ian Chapman as well, whose main job is to do the weekly roundup. How the heck he can go right through the Facebook group and find all the performances and report them is just an absolute amazing thing. He does the most amazing roundup every week. And he's one of the, I know I mentioned, you asked me a question last time we were interviewed, how do you keep on top of it all? How do you run it all? And I gave and my answer was, well, the thing is, I don't. Peter Coles and Martin Wormsley run it. Without them, the Diamonds wouldn't be what it is. Without you, the Diamonds wouldn't be what it is, because we've taken such a big step forward with these videos that you do. These are all the things that are progressing all the time. And it keeps me busy. If anybody's got any other ideas, I'm always happy to hear them. I did an article for next week's email on one of our members who is rowing across I think he's rowing across several of the oceans. It's a several month thing. So more of that will be coming out in the middle of next week. Always happy to report on any of the kind of things that people do. So it's never ending. Concept 2, I've got liaison with them to repeat from last year, where they did a big article on us. But we're going to be looking at expanding that a little bit to getting Concept 2 to recommend us a little more, I think, because they have a lot to report on. But every year we get bigger, every year we achieve more, and every year Concept 2 never cease to be amazed at the wonderful things that go on. So there's more to come from our relationship with Concept 2. And of course, we now have a relationship with British rowing.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Rob. Can you explain a little bit more about that? I didn't appreciate it. So you told me the other day that CTC and British Rowing have a relationship.
Yeah, the situation is the CTC, the Cross Team Challenge, has been a mainstay competition for all indoor rowing teams for something in the region of about 20 years. It's something that, as anyone in the Diamonds is going to know, that the CTC is the main competition that we have for the Facebook part. We have a lot of people that are not on Facebook that do it. It's something I'll be promoting more to the people on the C2 part of the team that may not be aware of it, but it's information that I'll be dropping in very soon. But everyone knows that the CTC is a major competition, the Cross Team Challenge. Now, for many, many years, it was hosted on a server free of charge as a favour to the guy who first put it together. And it was only designed back in the early days, 20 odd years ago, as I mentioned, of when just a few people were doing it. It then grew and grew to having to cope with over 1,000 people and over 30 teams. And it turned out that over the years, that the company that was hosting the competition on its server free of charge was going to be turning it off. They were no longer going to be hosting it free of charge, which means that, can you imagine it? The Concept 2 community, certainly the Facebook community, with no CTC, we were losing our main focus, our main focal point, our main method of competing with each other on a regular basis, and our main way of promoting a competition that we could all latch onto as a team and compete together and have something for us all to talk about, and so on and so forth. So when that came to my attention, I spoke to a few people, that Martin Walmsley, Ian Chapman, Peter Coles, and so on, people that I knew in the IT field that might be able to recommend someone that could host it. And I even asked C2 about hosting it, and that didn't really get very far. But as a coincidence would have it, I was contacted by British Rowing, who had launched a new indoor rowing magazine, and one of their promotions peoples, a guy called Fergus Mainland, his job was to edit and promote that magazine. And he contacted me because he wanted to do an article on me and my wife. Basically, it was a rowing British champion rowing couple, which was very nice of him. But when I suddenly realised who he was and that this magazine existed, with my sales and marketing background, because that's what I used to do for a living before I became a retired old person, I said to him, "Well, what are you doing? What are you doing about promoting your magazine? How are you getting more people sign up to have your magazine sent through to them by email?" And he says, "Well, we're hoping to work a bit closer with Concept 2." He said, "Have you got any ideas?" I said, "Yeah, as it happens, I have a very good idea that I think, and that is," and I explained the CTC to him, and I said, "It's going to be switched off. How about British Rowing hosting it on their server? Because British Rowing must have a server." And he said, "Wow, that's a good idea." So he said, "So all these people that do the CTC, they would come through the Inside Indoor magazine." I said, "Yeah, that's it." So he thought this was a wonderful idea. It would help him. So he took it to directors of British Rowing, put a proposal to them. They thought it was a wonderful idea. They allocated a budget for the rewriting or the writing of the software and the coding for the CTC to be transferred onto their server, because it basically, the whole thing had to be rewritten and recreated. And lo and behold, the CTC transferred to the hosting of British Rowing. And because British Rowing is, I think, partly government funded, then I think the future of British Rowing is pretty much assured, and we've got a safe future for the CTC. Now, that's meant a lot of very close work between certainly myself, and because the Diamond's the biggest team in terms of participation and numbers of people on there, and we promote the competition. Also, the technical side of things, Peter Coles was able to help them. A funny little story. I mean, it just so happens that I'm British, and it just so happens that they're British Rowing. The same thing could equally have happened in the United States. I mean, they could have contacted one of our American members. The American Rowing Association could have contacted one of our American members, and so they wanted to do an article. And if that American member had known that the CTC server was going to be turned off, then they could have made that suggestion to American Rowing. So equally, I mean, or it could have been in, I don't know, any other country. It's just pure coincidence. It could also have been that if it had come about that the right people had end up talking to each other, that the CTC could have been hosted in San Francisco, and the person that was doing the work for it could be in Sydney, in Australia, because the person that was doing the coding for this transfer of the CTC onto the British Rowing server was it was an American based in France. So, and then to finish it off, they were having some problems getting it all together. I mean, it was working along okay, but there were a few glitches and things. And Peter Coles, that IT magician in so many ways, he said to me, "Well, all they need to do is this, and this." He said, "They're only up the road. I'll walk up there and tell them." Because Peter Coles lives in London, and British Rowing are based in London, and it turns out that the office where this Fergus Mainland chap works is about a mile from Peter Coles' house. So he made an appointment to go and see him, and he literally walked from home to where it's based and fixed it for him. Now, as I say, I mean, what chances of that in a worldwide competition? I mean, as I say, it could have been, one part could have been in Los Angeles, one part could have been in Auckland, New Zealand, but no, they're a mile apart in London, thanks to the Diamonds. So the Diamonds fixed the worldwide competition, and the relationship with British Rowing has grown from strength to strength. I mean, we're not the only team that has a good relationship with British Rowing, because they deal with the captains, managers of all the teams that do the CTC. And there is a separate Facebook page for representatives of the teams, so that we can talk between ourselves about making sure that we're doing the best for the competition. So, yeah, strong relation. To go back and answer your original question, strong relationships with Concept 2, building and growing, and strong relationships with British Rowing, And also, it opens up the door for any member in any country, if they want to talk to me about forming more of a relationship with their national governing body, I'll be able to help using the model that we have over here. So if anybody seeing this interview wants to fix up something with their national association governing body, please let me know, and I'll be happy to step in.
Great, great. Thank you for that, Rod. And on a sort of macro level, what is it that you've learned personally from leading the Diamonds?
Wow. Well, I learn things every day in the diamonds, but I like the way you said macro. Look, on the way that the thing that I've learned is there is absolutely no shortage of inspiring people over 60 in this sport. Some of the people that we have are just, I mean, I've already mentioned Bill Nurge. Kurt Bloomberg springs to mind, 29-year-old gold miner in Alaska, puts up absolutely amazing times. Is Nancy Cook, mother, sports lady, breaks American and world records, works so hard, deserves wonderful things.
Cancer survivor and ran the Boston Marathon in a Wonder Woman costume soon after.
I mean, they're just two people that spring to mind. And apologies to all the other people because I would have had to have made a list of so many people. But of course, I mean, Ray Morvan. Now, Ray Morvan isn't just Mister Rowing. I mean, he's Mister Enthusiasm. His enthusiasm is the way he overcomes the physicality of having a below the knee amputation. It inspires all of us. The thing that I've learned is there are no shortage of amazing people with amazing stories, and but it grows. We have new people join all the time. Most people take a little while to find their feet within the team, but the stories soon come out about what they do. But that's the thing that I've really learned the most about the Diamonds. It's just the most amazing group of people, and it's an honour really to be able to be involved in the way that I am. It's just a pleasure to. I mean, I get a lot of emails every day. I get a lot of Facebook messages every day. I get private messages through the chat forum. It's an absolute delight to answer them all. My typical day starts at about. I'm normally up about 5:30 because, like a lot of old people, don't sleep that well. So, but I'm lying there and I'm thinking, oh, I don't really want to be in bed. So I'm normally up about 5:30. I'm downstairs in my kit. Um, Sitting there with a coffee, up goes the laptop, and I've got about 45 minutes worth of admin that I try and do straight away. That the easy thing because of the time difference where I live in the south of England with the United States and its large population, therefore large number of members. I mean, about half our members are in the United States. It basically means a lot of stuff will come in for me overnight while I'm sleeping from the United States, but of course other countries as well, or stuff that came in late the night before from Britain or wherever. The stuff that I can answer quickly, I'll do. Then I like to be in my home gym with my two C2s, one for me, one for Carol, my wife, by 7 in the morning. So that's then I can have my breakfast when I get in and showered, and then I can maybe get on with some more admin or whatever I'm doing. But that's really the way that I get to deal with it all because I can normally rush. I say rush. I mean, I'm not taking my time, but I can deal with a lot of stuff. I can deal with fairly quickly because I'm used to doing it. So
Yeah.
it's great fun.
Rod, you mentioned Carol a few times. I think you should give a shout out to your better half because, and this is something that I found with a lot of diamonds is that they do great things when they're supported by somebody who is prepared to put up with the sweaty kit and the unreasonable disappointments or exuberance over what they've achieved.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, Carol puts up with all my displays of annoyance and disappointment, or tells me to shut up when I'm crowing a little bit too much about something that I might have actually got right for a change. The worst is when I come home from football and I tell her what great saves I made. She says, "Oh, you say that every bloody week. Tell us about the ones you let between your legs, or tell us about the ones you dropped." But yeah, Carol is a world champion, world record holder, British champion, British record holder in her own right. In fact, I live in a little village, and the village postman, would you believe, is one of my teammates in the football team. So every day when he delivers mail, he says, how are you? He says, and how is the best rower in the house? He constantly reminds me that I may think that I'm the best rower in this age group or that age group, but he says, well, you're not even the best rower in your house. Your wife is. So she's, when we first got started rowing, she won the British Championships and I was next to last. So I'm sitting there watching her on the podium with the gold and everything like that. And I'm very, very humbly at the back. It did motivate me to try and do a little bit better, but I think it's well known that in those days I was a bit over the lightweight limit because it never occurred to me to be a lightweight. But then I changed a few things around and found that the weight fell off me. And when I became a lightweight, I came through. But by which time she'd won loads more world championships and British records and British titles. So she's suffered a lot of injuries. She's still rowing keenly. She can still just about run, but she's currently having to manage a lot of injuries and wear and tear. And quite honestly, one of her injuries was a wear and tear problem in her shoulder neck area, and it kept her out of rowing really more or less for 18 months. So she's in bonus time, I think, given that at one time she thought she probably wouldn't be able to row. But yeah, I couldn't have done what I've done without her. Her support, and for two rowers to live together, it's something for us to talk about. Not that we wouldn't talk about other things, but it's just nice to have so many things in common because we run together as well. So if I'm fit, I can maybe just get in front of her. If she's fit, she gets in front of me.
We wish her luck with recovery. What is it that you think that the diamonds tend to have in common?
Oh, the desire to progress. I think it's that kind of bubbly enthusiasm to want to improve at what they're doing. We have people in the diamonds that do other sports, but they all seem to want to improve at those sports as well as their rowing. I think it's a thirst for knowledge. There's always ways of looking at how science will help our aging bodies. There's plenty of information available within the team as to how science can help, as you rightly pointed out earlier. It's basically people that want to be better despite the aging, or maybe in a lot of cases because of the aging.
Because of it. I mean, I recall Gary Aitchison looking forward to his 80th birthday, smile all over his face because it would open up a whole range of new records that he could have a go at. And he is ticking them off, as we speak.
Gary Aitchison is one of the names that I perhaps should have mentioned earlier. He's such an inspiring rower. He literally, if he could have pressed a button that accelerated his life up to 80, because none of us want to he couldn't wait to get there. And sure enough, true to his word, he's smashing every New Zealand record in the book. How, that isn't the main point with him though, how he has the absolute enthusiasm to train as hard as he does, because he also goes out on his bike. He's a keen cyclist. But how he can find the enthusiasm to train as hard as he does to break the records that he does, and he bashes away at them again and again and again. I progressed here, improved this. It's fantastic to know that at the age of 80, he's still got that kind of enthusiasm. So that's why I kind of couch what I say about my situation at the moment with a little bit, well, you never know, because when I get to 70, I'll be the baby of the bunch. In 10 years' time, I might be saying, well, I was all right when I was in my early 70s, but now that I'm getting to my late 70s, I think I'm spending a lot more time with football now that the people that I was playing football with in the 60s were now in our 70s and we're still playing. I'll be saying, but yeah, I mean, I'll be 80 in a couple of years' time, so I'll be the baby of the bunch again. So maybe I'll have a few records and things like that. So
Yeah,
there's lots more to come, and it's people like Gary that show the way, people that inspire us. And he's also he's the team captain for the Southern Hemisphere. He's in charge of Australia and New Zealand. That is to say, he helps members there. He's one of the managers that helps to direct my thoughts, the way that we do things. He's a vital cog in the Diamond's wheel. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people that just have an energy within them that is irrepressible. I mean, talking about people down under, Jan Zilm is another
Yeah.
who would just have a go at anything. Absolutely irrepressible. Polly in New Jersey, just full of energy. The energy is so clear, and Barbara Hogan as well. I mean, I'll never forget her describing how at the top of the Charles River the tide changes and the exuberance and excitement she feels as she picks up the energy on the way down to the finish line. Incredible.
You've mentioned some incredible members of the team. I mean, the work that Polly does with the youngsters is amazing. I have a theory about Polly because Polly lives in Asbury Park, which of course most people know is also where Bruce Springsteen comes from.
Yeah.
So I think that Bruce, and they have met.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I did ask Polly that. I did say to Polly once, Asbury Park. I said, "You ever met Bruce Springsteen?" As a joke. Yeah, I've met. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the details were, but my theory is that because Bruce Springsteen does such an energetic 3 hour show, is that I think that Polly must have inspired him.
Yeah.
Because I should have said, well, are they all like you? They can't all be like you in Asbury Park. So you must have made Bruce the way that he is. Barbara Hogan does a fantastic job. She's so successful on the water, and yet so dedicated to the erg as well. Pictures of her with gold medals come as no surprise when she earns them. She really does. An amazing inspiration down under. Her sprinting is well, all of her rowing is incredible, but she's always there with a smiley cheer on her face, and she helps out a lot with. She's always got a positive comment for people, and Polly helps people along. Barbara says such nice things to people. It's always good to see the names of people that are actually encouraging others along, and it's a big thing in the Diamonds where we all help each other.
Yeah, that positive outlook and the smile. I remember Steve Bainbridge with a big smile on his face, describing the absolute agony of popping both hips out whilst doing leg presses in a gym on holiday. I mean, can you imagine how painful it must be to do that? But there he is, big smile, talking about how it was all resolved and went back on holiday.
Yeah, and how he's going to get round it so he can carry on training and rowing. And this is a guy that played rugby for England
Yeah,
and the British Lions,
that's
which for
right.
those in other countries is the highest level of rugby you can possibly play. I mean, he's a world superstar, and yet he's quite positive to say, "Oh, oh yeah, but I'll get round it. He's an absolute star again. Totally.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Rod, there's plenty more sporting achievements to tick off as we go. But what has sport done for you in your life so far? Do you think?
Oh, it's well. The first thing, it's got me a wife. I met my wife through sport, and just quickly, I think it's well known. I used to be a rugby player, and I was in my early 20s playing at my local club, and a new guy joined. He'd moved to the area, and he hadn't moved from that far away, but he'd been playing for a different club, moved, come join ours, see what it was like, enjoyed it. He enjoyed it, and the following week he came back, and after the game, his girlfriend came and joined him for a drink. So I met his girlfriend, and she enjoyed it down there. So the week after that, he was there with his girlfriend, came down again, but she brought her friend. And not that long afterwards, her friend, who's Carol, and I became an item, as the expression goes. Here we are, nearly 40 years later, happily married still. So that's how I met Carol. But it's also given me an amazing network of friends. I mean, I've played rugby with people that remain friends for life. I've run with people at the athletic club. I continue to meet new people. One interesting new development is because I started playing football, as I mentioned a few times now, but because it's a real life thing, not an online thing, and I'm playing for 3 different teams, then I've got to know 3 different sets of people who don't live that far away and interact with regularly. One of the interesting things that we're doing for my most local club is we're becoming involved with the local semi-professional team. I say semi-professional, it's more or less amateur, really. But we're going to become the old man's walking football section of the local club. But of course, that means that we've then started to meet a whole new lot of people who are the people that are involved with that club. So I've literally just joined a new big club. And all my life, all my friends at school were people that I did sport with. Here I am pushing 70, and all my friends are, or most of my friends are people that I do sport with, apart from neighbours and things as well. So for me, it's been a way of life. I mean, it's been a way of enjoying health, but then it's given me great highs because being able to stand on a podium with a gold medal around your neck is something that I used to dream about when I was a little kid. So to actually finally, be able to do it is a wonderful thing. But being part of a team is a wonderful thing. Online friends that I have in the Diamonds, again, friends for life, and so many of the friends that are in the Diamonds, I get the chance to meet in real life. Gary Aitchison in New Zealand, who is a great online friend, he's coming over to England, and I'm meeting him at the airport. And he's going to stay at my house for the start of his trip. I've met you in a coffee bar once, and we'll look forward to
Yeah,
when we can next get together. Ian
yeah.
Chapman, he lives a few hours up the road from me. I've met him. We've had get-togethers in this country, but having been to the World Championships, I've met Nancy Cook in real life. Nancy, Rod, hi! It was absolutely wonderful to meet her in real life. I mean, I've said I'm not going to do the British Championships this year in December, but I will be there to support the team. Joyce James is going to be there. I mean, it was her first championship. She was as nervous as hell. I was literally holding her hand the whole time. Now she's going to do the same for other people. She's there at a spectacular result. Yeah, for me, what's sport done for me? Well, everything. Absolutely everything. It also gave me kind of like the confidence to do the kind of work that I did when I was in sales. It was just being a salesman was just like being a player in a team.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand and feel exactly the same way. At the risk of sounding like, an old git, there are so many issues that the younger generation face now related to mental health and, fairness and discrimination and resilience and so on. You can't really compare our generation with their generation. Things are just different.
Very.
But I do think that there is something that a community like the Diamonds, which is active and communicative and competitive, there is something that it can teach people at a younger generation.
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I've coached young people in athletics, rugby, and a bit of rowing. I've noticed through that, I've noticed the changes in society and the way that sport really now is we took it for granted when we were younger. It's not a given anymore. There is so much that they can learn in terms of self-confidence, camaraderie, and building up a social network. Because if they're going to sit at home and just look at their phones, they're not going to get out and meet anybody. Well, of course, if they're involved with a sport, then they can't really do it with a phone in front of them. So that's a big help for people. And as you rightly touched on mental health, I mean, it's just good to get out and interact. I would be lost without the kind of interactions that I've been able to enjoy over the years and look forward to having more of.
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, Rod, always good to chat, mate. Nice to catch up. Thank you for doing this. I'm sure we'll do another one sometime in the future, but always good to talk. Keep well and keep pushing yourself.
Great. Well, thanks for asking me to do it. Thanks for asking me such pertinent questions with regards to the Diamonds, because I would stress just in fun, if anybody wants to contact me, anyone in the Diamonds wants to contact me, ask a question, make a suggestion, please Facebook message me, email me, whatever they want to do. Everybody, I have a golden rule that anybody that contacts me for anything is guaranteed a reply, and I'm always pleased to hear from people. And look forward to the next interview. I've got all sorts of things I can talk about with the team because it's such an inspiring team. And thanks for the great work you do with the channel. Everybody loves it.
Great. Thank you, Rod. We'll definitely talk again soon. Cheers,
Okay,
mate.
Stephen, look forward to the next time. All the best.